Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty, watching the strange blue lights dance across the view screen. The lights came from something huge floating in space ahead of them. It looked like a crystal mountain, but it was perfectly smooth and glowed with an inner fire that hurt to look at directly. "What do you think it is, Captain?" asked Lisa Parker, the ship's chief engineer. She was a small woman with bright red hair and sharp green eyes. Lisa had been with Jake for 5 years, and he trusted her judgment more than anyone else on the ship. Jake rubbed his chin and stared at the object. "I don't know, Lisa. I've never seen anything like it. Run a full scan and tell me what you find." The Liberty was humanity's newest and best exploration ship. It carried 147 people into the deep darkness of space, looking for new worlds and new life. The ship was long and white with blue lights running along its sides. Inside, it had the most advanced computers and weapons that Earth could build. Dr. Amy Walsh, the ship's doctor, walked onto the bridge. She was tall and had black hair pulled back tight. Her hands were always steady, which made her good at her job. "Captain, some of the crew are getting headaches when they look at that thing out there. Should I be worried?" Jake turned to look at her. "How many people?" "About 20 so far. They all say the same thing. They look at it, and their heads start to hurt. But when they look away, they feel fine." Sam Rodriguez, the tactical officer, looked up from his station. He was a big man with dark skin and a deep voice. "Captain, my sensors are going crazy. The thing is putting out energy readings I've never seen before. It's like it's alive." Jake felt a chill run down his back. In all his years in space, he had learned to trust his feelings. Something about this object felt wrong, but also important. "How far away is it?" "About 10,000 kilometers, Sam said." "Should we move closer?" Jake thought for a moment. They were out here to explore and learn. This was exactly the kind of thing they were supposed to investigate, but his gut told him to be careful. "Take us closer, but slowly. And keep our shields up." The Liberty moved forward through the darkness. The strange object grew larger on the screen. As they got closer, Jake could see that it wasn't just one piece. It was made of thousands of smaller parts, all fitted together like a puzzle. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing and fading in patterns that seemed almost like writing. "Captain," Lisa called out, her voice tight with excitement. "I'm reading massive power sources inside that thing. Whatever it is, it's not dead. It's very much alive." Ben Taylor, the ship's navigator, was a quiet man who rarely spoke unless he had something important to say. He looked up from his charts and said, "Captain, we need to be careful. My readings show that space around that object isn't normal. It's like the rules of physics are different there." Jake nodded. "Everyone stay alert." "Lisa, can you tell me more about those power readings?" Lisa's fingers flew over her controls. "It's incredible, Captain. The energy output is off the charts. If I didn't know better, I'd say it was some kind of engine. But an engine for what?" "Doctor." Walsh spoke up again. "Captain, now I have 40 people with headaches. Some of them are saying they hear voices." "Voices." Jake turned to face her. "What kind of voices?" "They can't understand the words, but they say the voices sound sad, like something crying for help." Jake felt the chill again, stronger this time. "Sam, are there any other ships in the area?" Sam checked his screens. "Negative, Captain. We're alone out here. The nearest human ship is 3 days away." The Liberty continued to move closer to the strange object. On the screen, Jake could see that the symbols on its surface were moving. They flowed like water, changing from one pattern to another. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Captain," Ben said, his voice worried. "Something's wrong with my navigation systems. I can't get a lock on our position. It's like we're not where we should be." Jake's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "I mean, according to my instruments, we're nowhere. We don't exist." Lisa looked up from her station, her face pale. "Captain, I'm losing contact with Earth. Our communication array is working fine, but I can't reach anyone." Jake walked to the center of the bridge and looked around at his crew. They were good people, and they trusted him to keep them safe. But right now, he wasn't sure he could do that. "All stop," he ordered. "Sam, power up weapons, but don't target." "Anything yet, Lisa? Try to boost our communications?" I want to talk to Earth. The ship slowed and stopped about 5,000 kilometers from the object. Jake could feel everyone on the bridge watching him, waiting for orders. He had to make a decision, but every choice seemed dangerous. "Captain," Dr. Walsh said quietly, "now I have 60 people with headaches. And they're all saying the same thing." "What are they saying?" "They say the voices are getting louder. And they think the voices are trying to warn us about something." Jake stared at the object on the screen. The symbols were moving faster now, and the blue light was getting brighter. Something was happening, and he had the feeling that whatever it was, it would change everything. He took a deep breath and made his choice. "Take us closer." That was the last transmission Earth ever received from the UES Liberty. 3 years had passed since the UES Liberty vanished without a trace. Admiral John Hayes sat in his office at Luna Command, looking out the window at Earth below. The blue planet looked peaceful from up here, but John knew better. The loss of the Liberty had shaken everyone's faith in space exploration. Kate Sullivan, his intelligence officer, walked into the room carrying a stack of reports. She was a serious woman with brown hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Admiral, we have some strange reports coming in from the outer colonies." John turned away from the window. "What kind of reports?" Kate placed the files on his desk. "Ships being destroyed in sectors where we don't have any military presence. But here's the odd part. They're not human ships being attacked. They're alien vessels." John picked up the first report and read it quickly. "The hegemony?" "Yes, sir. The patrol ships are being hit hard and fast. The attacks are surgical, precise. Whoever's doing this knows exactly what they're targeting. The hegemony was a group of 12 alien species that controlled most of this part of the galaxy. They'd been pushing against human space for years. It's taking colonies and resources whenever they thought they could get away with it. Most humans feared them because they had better technology and more ships." John read through more reports. "Any survivors from these attacks?" "A few. They all tell the same story. A single ship appears out of nowhere, destroys the hegemony vessels in minutes, then vanishes before anyone can get a good look at it." Rick Turner, John's tactical advisor, entered the office. He was a big man, with gray hair and scars on his hands from his years as a fighter pilot. "Admiral, you need to hear this. We just got a transmission from Merchant Captain Tony Blake." John looked up. "What did Blake see?" Rick activated a small recording device. Tony Blake's voice filled the room, shaky with excitement and fear. "This is Captain Blake of the merchant vessel Golden Eagle. I was running supplies to New Colorado when I saw something impossible. There was a hegemony patrol ship, one of their big ones, being attacked by a human vessel." The recording continued. "But it wasn't any human ship I've ever seen. It was bigger, faster, and it had weapons that cut through the alien shields like they were made of paper. The whole fight lasted maybe 3 minutes. Then the human ship just disappeared." John leaned back in his chair. "Did Blake get a good look at this ship?" Rick nodded. "He did. And Admiral, you're not going to like this. Blake swears the ship looked like the Liberty." Kate and John exchanged glances. "That's impossible," John said. "The Liberty was destroyed 3 years ago. Blake's not the only one," Kate added. "We have 6 other reports of a ship matching the Liberty's profile attacking hegemony vessels across 3 different sectors. All in the past 2 months?" John stood up and walked to his window again. Below him, Earth turned slowly in space, unaware of the mystery building in the darkness beyond. "What about communications? Has anyone tried to contact this ship?"
"That's
another strange thing," Kate said. "Helen Davis, the colony administrator on New Colorado, has been picking up human transmissions in that area, but they're not normal communications." Rick pulled out another device. "Listen to this." A voice crackled through the speaker, distorted but clearly human. "The path must be cleared. The debt must be paid. Prepare the way for what comes next." The voice sent chills down John's spine. It sounded familiar but wrong somehow, like someone he knew speaking through water or from very far away. "There are more messages like that," Kate said. "All in English, all talking about debts and preparation and settling scores. Helen's communications officer, Bob Chin, says the voices sound like people talking in their sleep." John sat back down and looked at the reports again. What does Dr. Brooks think about all this? Dr. Rachel Brooks was humanity's best expert on alien technology. She worked at the Mars Research Institute and had studied every piece of hegemony equipment they had. Ever captured. Kate opened another file. She analyzed the energy signatures from the attack sites. The readings show technology far beyond anything we have, but the patterns are definitely human in origin. What does that mean? It means someone took human engineering and made it much, much better. The weapon signatures don't match anything in our databases, but they follow human design principles. Rick leaned forward. Admiral, there's something else. The attacks aren't random. This mystery ship is hitting specific targets. Supply depots, communication stations, patrol bases. It's like they're following a plan. John thought about this. If the Liberty had somehow survived, if Jake Morrison and his crew were still alive, what had happened to them? Why were they attacking the hegemony instead of coming home? Kate spoke quietly. Admiral, some of the families of the Liberty crew have been asking questions. They've heard rumors about ships that look like the Liberty. They want to know if their loved ones might still be alive. John nodded. He had been getting calls too. Parents, spouses, children of the crew members who had vanished 3 years ago. They deserved answers, but he didn't have any to give them. What about the hegemony? John asked. How are they responding to these attacks? Rick's face darkened. They're mobilizing. Our intelligence sources say they're pulling ships from all over their territory. They think humans are behind the attacks, and they're preparing for war. Against us, against all of humanity. They don't know about this mystery ship. As far as they're concerned, we're the ones hitting their patrols. John felt a weight settle on his shoulders. If the hegemony decided to attack human space in force, Earth's defenses wouldn't hold for long. They needed answers, and they needed them fast. Set up a meeting with the Colonial Council, John ordered. And get me everything we have on the Liberty's last mission. If Jake Morrison is out there, I want to know what happened to him and his crew. As Kate and Rick left his office, John looked out at Earth again. Somewhere in the darkness beyond, something that might once have been human was fighting a war. And John had the terrible feeling that humanity was about to get caught in the middle of it. The Liberty appeared at the edge of human space on a Tuesday morning, but it was not the same ship that had vanished 3 years ago. Admiral John Hayes stared at the view screen in Luna Command, trying to understand what he was seeing. The ship was massive now, at least twice the size it had been before. Strange metal had been added to its hull, metal that seemed to shift and flow like liquid silver. Blue lights ran along its surface in patterns that hurt to look at directly. It looked like someone had taken the Liberty and rebuilt it using technology. From a dream, Sir Kate Sullivan said quietly. We're receiving a transmission. John nodded, put it through. The main screen flickered, and then Jake Morrison's face appeared. But like his ship, Jake had changed. His eyes glowed with a soft blue light, and his skin had a strange, pale quality. When he spoke, his voice carried an echo that made everyone in the command center feel cold. Hello, John, Jake said, and his voice was calm in a way that was terrifying. It's been a long time. John stepped forward. Jake, thank God you're alive. We thought you were dead. What happened to you and your crew? Jake smiled, but it wasn't a happy expression. Dead? No, John, we're not dead. We're something much more interesting than that. Where have you been for 3 years? Learning, Jake said simply. The artifact we found wasn't just a relic. It was a school, a library, a gift left behind by a species called the Architects. The Architects said. The Architects. They lived in this galaxy long before humans left Earth. They were builders, creators, explorers, much like us, actually. But they made the mistake of trusting the hegemony. Jake's image flickered, and for a moment John could see the Liberties. Bridge behind him, it looked nothing like a human ship anymore. The walls pulsed with soft light, and strange symbols moved across surfaces that seemed to be alive. The hegemony destroyed the Architects completely, Jake continued. Wiped them from existence because they refused to become slaves. They died. The Architects hid their knowledge in artifacts scattered across the galaxy. They were waiting for someone worthy to find them And you found one of these artifacts. It found us, Jake said. When the hegemony attacked our ship, they accidentally activated the artifact. It saved us, John. It changed us. Lisa Parker appeared beside Jake on the screen. She too had the same pale skin and glowing eyes. When she spoke, her voice had the same strange echo. The artifact bonded with us, Admiral Hayes. It gave us knowledge, technology, purpose. We learned how the galaxy really works. John swallowed hard. Lisa, are you all right? Are all of you all right? Lisa smiled. We're better than all right. We're what humanity could become if it chooses to evolve. Sam Rodriguez stepped into view. The big tactical officer looked even larger now, and blue light seemed to flow under his skin like lightning. Admiral, we've spent 3 years building ships and learning how to use architect technology. We're ready to finish what the architects started. What do you mean? Jake's expression grew serious. The hegemony has controlled this part of the galaxy for thousands of years. They've destroyed dozens of species, enslaved hundreds more. They grow fat on the resources of worlds they've stolen, and they crush anyone who tries to resist. What does that have to do with us? Everything, Jake said. They were already planning to attack human space before we disappeared. Our little exploration missions were making them nervous. They saw us as a threat that needed to be eliminated. Dr. Amy Walsh appeared on the screen. Her transformation was the most dramatic of all. Her skin was almost transparent now, and John could see patterns of light moving beneath it. When she spoke, her voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. We've been watching them, Admiral, she said. The hegemony has been building a fleet to attack Earth. They plan to do to humanity what they did to the architects. John felt sick. How do you know this? Because we've been inside their computer networks, Ben Taylor said, joining the others on screen. The navigator's eyes had become completely blue, like looking into deep water. We've read their plans, their communications, their dreams. They fear us now, and fear makes them dangerous. Jake stepped forward again. John, we're offering humanity a choice. Join us. Let us share the architect technology with your people. Become more than you are. What would that mean? It means humans would never have to fear alien oppression again, Jake said. It means we could build a civilization that spans the galaxy. It means we could protect every species that the hegemony has enslaved. John looked around the command center. His officers were staring at the screen with expressions of wonder and terror. What's the cost, Jake? What do we have to give up? Your limitations, Lisa said. Your weakness, your mortality, our humanity, John asked quietly. Jake was silent. For a long moment, it depends on how you define humanity, John. Are we less human because we're stronger? Because we can think faster, live longer, build better? No. Or are we more human because we can protect the innocent and punish the guilty? Sam spoke up. Admiral, we've already started the work. Every hegemony ship we've destroyed was carrying weapons meant for the attack on human colonies. Every base we've hit was part of their invasion plan. You've been protecting us, John realized. Of course, Jake said. We're still human where it matters, where we still remember what it means to protect our home. Dr. Walsh leaned forward. The hegemony is mobilizing their full fleet now. They know something is hunting them, even if they don't understand what. The war is coming whether humanity chooses to evolve or not. Jake nodded. We can win this war, John, but we need to know where humanity stands. Will you join us? Will you let us transform volunteers from your fleet? Or will you stand aside while we do what needs to be done? John felt the weight of the entire human race on his shoulders. How long do we have to decide? 30 days, Jake said. After that, the hegemony fleet will reach human space, and we'll have to act with or without your help. The transmission ended, leaving John staring at a blank screen. Around him, his officers waited for orders, but he had no idea what to tell them. Humanity's lost ship had returned, but the crew that came back might no longer be human at all, and in 30 days, they would have to choose what humanity itself would become. The hegemony fortress called Dark Star had protected alien shipping lanes for 200 years. It was a massive structure built into an asteroid, bristling with weapons and shields that could stop a fleet no one had ever successfully attacked. Admiral John Hayes watched from the bridge of the battleship Defiance as the Liberty approached the fortress alone. The transformed ship moved through space like a living thing, its hull flowing and changing as it flew. Blue energy crackled along its surface. "Sir," Captain Steve Parker said, "should we move closer to support them?" John shook his head. Jake said to stay back and watch. "He wants to show us what they can do." The Liberty was still 50,000 kilometers from Dark Star when the fortress opened fire. Massive energy beams lanced through space, each one powerful, enough to destroy a battleship. The beams hit the Liberty and simply disappeared, absorbed by the ship's hull like water soaking into sand. "Impossible," whispered Kate Sullivan, watching from her position at the communications station. "Those weapons should have vaporized them." The Liberty fired back with a single beam of pure white light. The beam cut through Dark Star's shields, without slowing down, then through the fortress itself. The entire structure, which had taken decades to build, split in half and exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the darkness of space. "The battle lasted 2 minutes," John said quietly. 2 minutes to destroy something that should have been impossible to kill. Rick Turner checked his tactical displays. "Admiral, I'm reading debris from at least 50 hegemony ships. They must have been docked inside the fortress." The Liberty had just destroyed more enemy ships in 2 minutes than the human fleet had managed in years of border conflicts. Jake Morrison and his crew had become something beyond human understanding. The Liberty turned and flew back toward the human fleet. As it approached, Jake's voice came over the communication system. "Did you see enough, John?" "I saw enough," John replied. "Jake, how many ships like yours do you have?" "Enough," Jake said simply. "The architects left more than one artifact. We've been busy for 3 years. On Earth, the debate raged in every government building and news station. Senator Paul Martinez stood before the Colonial Council, his face red with anger. We cannot allow ourselves to be changed into something else, no matter what the promise of power. If we stop being human, then what's the point of saving humanity?" Dr. Nancy Green, the famous philosopher, agreed with him. These transformed beings might have Jake Morrison's memories, but are they still Jake Morrison? Or are they something wearing his face? We must find another way. But other voices disagreed. General Mike Adams, who had lost 2 sons in hegemony raids, spoke to a packed auditorium. "My boys died fighting aliens with better technology and more ships. If these architect enhancements can prevent other families from losing their children, then we have a duty to consider them." Meanwhile, Sam Rodriguez led a small fleet of transformed ships to scout hegemony territory. What they found made everyone realize how desperate the situation had become. The aliens had gathered the largest fleet in their history, over 10,000, ships from all 12 member species. Sam's report was broadcast to every human colony. "They're not just planning to defeat us," his transformed voice echoed through speakers across human space. "They're planning to wipe us out completely. Every human world, every human ship, every human life. They call it the final solution." Dr. Amy Walsh, now serving as the Liberty Science Officer, provided more details. "The hegemony has decided that humans are too dangerous to exist. They've studied our expansion rate, our technology development, our military tactics. They've concluded that if they don't destroy us now, we'll eventually become a threat to their empire." The transformed crew revealed something else. Ben Taylor, whose consciousness could now interface directly with navigation computers, had mapped the enemy fleet's movement. "They'll reach Earth in 18 days, he announced, but there are too many of them for any conventional defense. To stop, John Hayes called an emergency meeting of all human military leaders. The conference room at Luna Command was packed with admirals, generals, and colony governors. The weight of decision hung heavy in the air. "The math is simple, John," said looking around the table. "The enemy fleet has 10,000 ships. We have 300. Even if we fight perfectly, we lose." Captain Tony Blake, who had first spotted the transformed Liberty, spoke up. "What about the offer? How many people would need to be changed?" Lisa Parker answered from the Liberty. "We need volunteers, not conscripts. The transformation only works if someone chooses it willingly. We estimate we need about 5,000 people to crew the ships we've built. 5,000 volunteers to save billions of lives, John said quietly. Doctor. Rachel Brooks had been studying the architect technology for weeks. The transformation appears to be irreversible, she reported. But it's not death, it's evolution. The volunteers would retain their memories, their personalities, their core selves. They would just become more than they were. General Adams stood up. I volunteer. I'm 60 years old and I've spent my whole career fighting the hegemony. If I can become something that can protect humanity, then sign me up. More voices joined his. Captain Blake volunteered. Kate Sullivan volunteered. Across human space, thousands of people stepped forward, willing to sacrifice their humanity to save it. But not everyone agreed. Senator Martinez led protests in the streets of New Geneva. It's his extinction with extra steps, he shouted to the crowds. We're being asked to commit racial suicide to avoid racial genocide. Dr. Green published articles warning about the dangers of losing human nature. Good is survival if we're no longer ourselves, she wrote. What victory is worth the price of our souls? As the debate continued, long-range sensors picked up the approaching hegemony fleet. Thousands upon thousands of alien ships moving toward human space like a tide of death. They would arrive in 15 days. Jake Morrison's final message was, BROADCAST across all human colonies. The choice is yours, he said, his blue glowing eyes staring out from every screen. But choose quickly. The hegemony fleet grows closer every day, and soon there will be no choice left to make. Time was running out, and humanity had to decide what it was willing to become to survive. The hegemony fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system like a cloud of metal locusts. 10,000 ships spread across space in perfect formation, their weapons charging for the final attack on Earth. Supreme Commander Vexton of the Soros stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue planet through the view screen. Today, we end the human threat forever, Vexton hissed to his officers. His reptilian face showed no emotion, but his yellow eyes burned with satisfaction. Send the message to all ships. Begin the cleansing. But before the hegemony fleet could move closer to Earth, space around them began to change. Ships appeared from nowhere, emerging from folds in reality itself. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of vessels that looked like they had been grown rather than built. Admiral John Hayes watched from Luna Command as the transformed human fleet revealed itself. He had made his choice 2 weeks ago, along with 5,000 other volunteers. The transformation had been painful but quick. Now he stood on the bridge of a ship that responded to his thoughts as much as his voice. All ships, this is Admiral Hayes. He broadcast to the hybrid fleet. His voice carried new harmonics that made every crew member feel calm and focused. Today we show the galaxy that humanity will not be destroyed. Today we teach the hegemony the price of threatening our home. The Liberty led the charge, with Jake Morrison at its helm. His ship had grown even larger, incorporating technologies from a dozen different architect artifacts. Blue fire streamed from its hull as it accelerated toward the enemy fleet at impossible speed. Remember Jake's voice echoed across all human ships? We are still human where it matters. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. We show mercy to those who surrender. But to those who would destroy our people, we show no quarter. The first contact between the fleets was devastating. The hegemony opened fire with every weapon they had, unleashing enough energy to vaporize planets. The beams struck the transformed human ships and were absorbed, converted into power for the human weapon systems. Sam Rodriguez, now commanding a ship called the Redeemer, fired back with weapons that bent space itself. His target, a massive hegemony dreadnought, simply folded in on itself and disappeared. One down, Sam reported calmly. 9,999 to go. The battle that followed was not really a battle at all. It was a lesson in what happened when a species chose evolution over extinction. The transformed humans moved through the hegemony fleet like ghosts, their ships phasing in and out of normal space. Every shot they fired found its target. Every maneuver they made was perfect. Dr. Amy Walsh had become something beyond a mere doctor. Her consciousness now extended through the medical systems of the entire human fleet, healing wounded. Crew members instantly and keeping everyone fighting at peak efficiency. The enemy is breaking, she reported. Their formation is collapsing. Ben Taylor's navigation skills had evolved beyond anything recognizable as human. He could see the flow of space and time, predict where enemy ships would be before they knew. Themselves, hegemony reinforcements, incoming, he announced. Lisa Parker had bonded so completely with the engineering systems that she had become the heart of the fleet itself. Through her, every ship shared power and information instantly. When one vessel was damaged, 10 others could provide support. We're not just ships anymore, she realized. We're one organism. Supreme Commander Vexton watched his fleet being destroyed with growing horror. His species had conquered the galaxy through superior technology and ruthless tactics. But the humans had become something his people could not understand or fight. Retreat, he ordered desperately. All ships, retreat to hyperspace. But the transformed humans had learned to manipulate space itself. Ben Taylor reached out with his enhanced consciousness and twisted the fabric of reality around the fleeing ships. No one leaves, he said quietly. Not until this is finished. The hegemony ships found themselves trapped, unable to enter hyperspace. One by one, they surrendered or were destroyed. Vexton's flagship was the last to fall, shields collapsing under weapons that turned matter into energy and energy into nothing. Jake. Morrison's ship pulled alongside the crippled flagship. Through the communication system, his voice reached Vexton directly. You came here to commit genocide, Jake said. You plan to kill every human man, woman, and child. Why? Vexton's yellow eyes burned with hatred. Because you grow too fast, learn too quickly. In 100 years, you would have challenged us. In 1,000, you would have destroyed us. You were right, Jake replied. But you should have tried friendship instead of fear. The battle ended with the complete destruction of the hegemony fleet. Not a single enemy ship escaped to carry word back to their territories. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer prey, but the transformed humans were not finished. Over the following months, they spread across hegemony space like a tide of liberation. Every slave world was freed. Every oppressed species was given the choice to join the new galactic order or go their own way in peace. Steve Parker, commanding a ship full of former hegemony slaves, marveled at what they had accomplished. We're not conquerors, he told his mixed crew of humans and aliens. We're gardeners, helping the galaxy grow into something better. The hegemony homeworlds fell one by one, not to destruction, but to transformation. The transformed humans offered the same choice they had given to Earth: evolve or be left behind. Some species chose to change, others chose to remain as they were. But under the protection of the new galactic order, Admiral Hayes stood on the observation deck of Luna Command, now rebuilt with architect technology, and looked out at Earth. The planet still turned in space, still blue and beautiful, still home to billions of humans who had chosen to remain unchanged. Did we win? Kate Sullivan asked, joining him at the window. She had been transformed too. Her consciousness now able to process information from across the galaxy. John thought about the question. We survived, he said finally. And we made. Sure, others can survive too. Maybe that's the same thing. The missing ship had returned with vengeance. But it had brought something more important. The power to protect not just humanity, but every species that chose freedom over oppression. In saving themselves, the humans had saved the galaxy. The transformed crews still remembered being human. They still felt love, hope, and the desire to protect the innocent. They had become something new, but they had not lost what made them human in the first place, and in the depths of space. More architect artifacts waited to be found, ready to help other species make their own choice between evolution and extinction. The galaxy would never be the same,